Summer nights are supposed to be fun, filled with laughter, friends, and warm breezes. But sometimes, they hide something far more terrifying. These are three true horror stories that happened in the middle of summer. Stay if you dare. What you're about to hear are real events, stories of ordinary people whose perfect summer nights turned into their worst nightmares. We'll start with the tale that will make you think twice about your next camping trip. Story 1. Our first story takes us to the dense, sprawling forests of Oregon. Imagine a group of teenagers, fresh out of high school, celebrating their freedom with a camping trip. The air is thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. A crackling campfire spits embers into the inky black sky, its orange glow the only thing pushing back the darkness. The sound of crickets is a constant, hypnotic chorus, punctuated by the rustling of unseen creatures in the underbrush. Laughter and stories are shared, the typical scene of a summer adventure. Among them is Mike, always the responsible one. The canteens are running low, so he grabs a few and announces he's going to the nearby lake to get more water. It's a short walk, a path they had all taken earlier that day. He heads off, the beam of his flashlight swallowed by the trees almost instantly. His friends continue their conversations, not thinking much of it. A few minutes pass, then 10, then 20. The laughter dies down, replaced by an uneasy silence. The atmosphere around the campfire shifts. The once comforting sounds of the forest now seem menacing. A twig snaps in the distance. Was it an animal, or something else? One of the girls swears she saw a shadow move at the edge of the firelight, too tall to be a deer. They call out Mike's name, their voices sounding small and frail against the vast, silent woods. The only reply is the echo of their own fear. They try their phones. No signal, of course. The feeling of isolation becomes suffocating. Panic starts to set in. Where is Mike? Deciding they can't wait any longer, the remaining friends grab their flashlights and start a search party. They follow the path Mike took, their hearts pounding in their chests. The feeling of being watched is overwhelming, as if countless eyes are peering at them from behind every tree. They reach the edge of the lake. The water is still, a perfect black mirror reflecting the stars. And there, right at the water's edge, are Mike's shoes, placed neatly side by side. Next to them, the canteens, still empty. But there's no sign of Mike. No footprints leading away. No signs of a struggle, just the shoes. The group screams his name until their throats are raw, but the forest remains silent. They spend the rest of the night huddled together by the fire, to terrify the sleep, jumping at every sound. The next morning, when the police finally arrive after one of them managed to get a sliver of signal, they find a scene of pure terror. The campsite is abandoned, the teenagers are gone. All they discover are Mike's shoes by the lake and a single set of footprints leading into the water, and none coming out. Mike and his friends were never seen again. Story 2. Our second story moves from the dark forests to the blistering heat of a California summer afternoon. Meet Sarah, a 22-year-old college student, trying to stick to her fitness routine despite the scorching sun. The streets are eerily empty, most people sheltering indoors from the oppressive heat. The only sounds are her own sneakers hitting the pavement and the faint, distant hum of traffic from a faraway highway. It's the kind of quiet that feels peaceful at first, but can quickly turn unsettling. As she rounds a corner onto a long, straight residential street, she gets a strange feeling, a prickle on the back of her neck. She glances over her shoulder and notices a man, quite a distance behind her, walking in the same direction. She doesn't think much of it. It's a public street, after all. She continues her run, but the feeling of being watched intensifies. She risks another look back. The man is still there, maybe a little closer now. He's walking at a steady pace, his face obscured by the shadows of the trees lining the street. A knot of anxiety tightens in her stomach. She picks up her pace, her light jog turning into a serious run. She listens. Behind her, the sound of his footsteps quickens, perfectly matching her new speed. Panic begins to flood her veins. The street seems to stretch on forever. The sun beats down, making her feel dizzy. Every rustle of leaves in the hot breeze sounds like him getting closer. She tells herself she's being paranoid, that he's just another person out for a walk. But her instincts are screaming otherwise. She spots a park up ahead, a splash of green with the promise of people. Safety. She sprints, her lungs burning, not daring to look back. She bursts into the park and glances around wildly. There are families having picnics, kids on the swings. She feels a wave of relief. She scans the street she just came from. The man is gone, vanished. She tries to catch her breath, but then she sees him again. He's on the other side of the park, near the swings, just standing there, staring right at her. How did he get there so fast? Terrified, Sarah pulls out her phone and calls the police. As she's on the phone, her eyes locked on the man, he simply turns and walks away, disappearing behind a thicket of bushes. When the police arrive moments later, they search the entire area. There's no sign of him. They check the security camera footage from a nearby convenience store that should have captured him. The footage shows Sarah running down the street, clearly panicked. But there's no one behind her. The street is completely empty. It was as if she was being chased by a ghost. Story 3. For our final story, we travel to a secluded cabin in the woods of Michigan where a family of 4 was hoping for a peaceful summer getaway. Imagine a rustic cabin, the kind you see in brochures, surrounded by tall pine trees. It's their first night. The parents, John and Mary, are unpacking while their 2 young kids explore their new temporary home. As darkness falls, the only sounds are the chirping of crickets and the low whistle of the wind finding its way through the old window frames. It's supposed to be idyllic, but as the night wears on, the atmosphere begins to change. The kids, tucked into their beds in the loft upstairs, come running down, their faces pale. They say they heard someone laughing outside their window. John goes to check, shines a flashlight into the darkness, but sees nothing. He reassures them it was just the wind or an animal, and sends them back to bed. But later that night, things get stranger. A book falls off a shelf on its own. The television in the living room flickers on and off, cycling through static-filled channels. The parents try to find rational explanations, blaming old wiring and the house settling. The second night is when the real terror begins. They're all sitting in the living room when a loud, firm knock echoes from the front door. It's sharp, deliberate, not like a branch hitting the wood. John's heart jumps. They weren't expecting anyone. He cautiously approaches the door and looks through the peephole. Nothing, just the dark porch and the silent woods beyond. He opens the door a crack. Nobody is there. A cold dread washes over the family. They lock all the doors and windows and decide to all sleep together in the living room on the ground floor. Too scared to be separated, they huddle under blankets, trying to sleep, but the house seems to come alive. They hear footsteps. Distinct, heavy footsteps, coming from the loft upstairs, the same loft that they know is completely empty. The footsteps pace back and forth, creaking the old floorboards directly above them. They last for nearly an hour before falling silent. The family lies awake, paralyzed by fear, until the first rays of morning light filter through the windows. Exhausted but relieved that the night is over, they remember the homeowner had mentioned a small security camera pointed at the front porch. Maybe it caught who was knocking. They check the footage from the night before. What they see makes their blood run cold. The camera did capture something. Not on the porch, but inside the house. For a brief moment, reflected in the glass of the living room window, a shadowy figure can be seen. It's standing in the corner of the room, right where they were sleeping, just staring. When they play it back, they see it was there for hours, watching them. They packed their bags and left that morning, never looking back. These were just 3 summer nights, but who knows how many more terrifying stories are waiting to unfold, maybe even just outside your window tonight. If you enjoyed these stories, subscribe for more tales from the dark, and maybe keep your lights on tonight.